everybody, welcome. That's my little warm-up song. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Is my voice ratio to the music okay for you guys? Let me know. Curious to know. I'm trying a slightly different setup here today than I did the last time. I know that the last time I was doing a YouTube live stream, that was a while ago. I think it might have even been like last year. It's been a few months, but in any case, I'm really happy to finally be back. I've got some big news to share with you guys all today, which I can't wait to do. And yeah, so this is a song that I've been working on for a really long time. I've been posting snippets of this piece here and there on Instagram the last little bit, so it's been cool, and the feedback has been really great. So I thought I would just start with this song and yeah, just kind of see what it feels like, get my hands a little bit warmed up, see how you guys are all doing over there. I see a lot of you are in Europe as well as America and Canada, which is great. So if you don't have a coffee in hand, maybe a beer would be appropriate. So it's cool. It's so cool to see a lot of you guys here. Thank you guys for the support. Thanks for coming and listening. So I want to talk a little bit about what this huge announcement is. And before you try to guess what it is, it's not a baby. I'm not having a baby. Because I know some people have been messaging me and asking if I'm having a kid, if I'm having a baby. I've already got Tico. And Tico is, I know you guys can't see him, but he's right here. He's listening very patiently for the word, for him to get some food. Whiskey. Nice. Cool. So, turn that down a little bit. All right. So, this last couple of years, I decided to do the most ambitious project I've ever done in my life. You know, it's one of those things. I always thought making a CD was like the highest point that I would ever get to, being a musician. You know, what I mean is, like, as far as like a project, having a big project ready, recording 12 songs, thinking of the story behind each song, and all that good stuff. And this project that I've been taking on these last 2 years, I've spent hundreds of hours, over 300 hours on it. I kind of stopped counting after a while because it was just adding up so much of my energy and my time. And so I'm so happy to announce the release of my online course. It's finally here. I've test run it on some of my students who are in the chat box right now. I can see some of my students are there who've had a chance to test run the course. And I'm so happy to announce that it's called Fingerstyle Pro. Fingerstyle Pro is the name of the course. This is where I'm going to run you through the basics, fundamentals, all the way up to advanced playing. And I'm so happy to announce this because it's been in the works for so long. It's taken me a good 10, 15, 20 years, just countless years of countless teaching hours as well, to know what works and what doesn't work. So I'm so happy to announce this. If you guys want to check this out, there's the link right over there, fingerstylepro.com, probably hard to read, but it is in the link in the description as well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm also going to be offering a discount code. And so just so you guys know, the way it works is it's going to start with a free 45-minute masterclass. This is where I'm just giving you free. It's no payment whatsoever. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just asking for you to just watch it, check it out, see what you think. And I can't wait to just get your feedback because it's taken me so many hours again, and so many hours of editing and countless hours staying up past my bedtime working on this, and I'm so happy that it's finally here. And if you guys have any questions about this course, how it's set up, if your skill level is the right skill level for this, let me know in the comments, and I'll post your comments up on the screen so everybody can see. But for those of you that don't know, I do have a Patreon page as well, where I've been asking some of my students over there about their opinion and any sort of questions that they wanted me to answer over this live stream. So one of the biggest questions about this course is that, is this in standard tuning or is this in alternate tunings? Many of you know that some of my older songs are definitely in alternate tunings, right? But what I decided to do for this course, I wanted for it to be primarily in standard tuning, because I'm trying to teach you guys how to play with other people, not just with yourself, being a solo fingerstyle player, but how to branch out of that as well, right? So I'm really all about that. So most of the course is indeed in standard tuning. The reason being is because you'll be able to kind of maximize shape positions and finger picking patterns that you can really utilize in any sort of progression that you might have. A big question that I get asked all the time is if I will have song tutorials in there of my own songs, and the answer is yes. So I'm going to be updating this website regularly, so when you do sign up, you're not just getting the course site, but you're also getting all the updates that I'm throwing your way as well. That's one of the questions that I keep getting asked is how long or how often will the site be updated? And I'm so happy to say that's going to be for a long time, I hope. Don't mind me as I play the guitar in between thoughts. So one of the really big questions that I get asked a lot is whether or not your skill level is the right skill level for this. And I can honestly say I've worked with beginners, I've worked with intermediate players, I've worked with professionals as well. So I can really happily say that it's got everything. It's got a little bit of everything for everybody. And it's only going to get bigger as time goes on. All right, so that's enough of the pitch and the announcement of this this masterclass online course, which I'm so happy it's finally done. Yeah, even I just had a student earlier today, and she said I've got this like grin on my face. I look happier, I look healthier, which is good because it's just taken so much time and effort, you know. So one thing I want to mention is there is indeed going to be a discount code which I'm giving to all you guys who are viewing today. The discount code is in the description, but it's also right there as well, so you can get 7% off until Tuesday. So I'm only leaving this discount code up for a few days. So if you are interested, make sure you use that code, save a little bit of cash, which can go towards your new guitar, which we all don't need. All right, so I'm getting some questions here. I'm going to answer these as they come up. Here's a question. When did you start playing guitar? It's a great question. And I started playing when I was 16 years old. So it was in 2001. 2001 I started playing the guitar. So it's been 20 years and I've been teaching pretty much that week. Because I had some friends who also wanted to learn some things. So it's been pretty cool. So yeah, that's been a really kind of cool journey. I think this month alone, it's been 20 years. It's been 20 years this month. Because on my birthday, 16th birthday, I got my first guitar. So that was a lot of fun. So here's a great question by Marcel. Is it subscription-based or is it a one-time payment? Are there different entry levels? So right now, you're going to be able to get the best deal because it's so fresh and I'm just trying to get the word out there with this course. So it's going to be a one-time payment at first. And basically what I mean by that is that if you purchase it within the next 3 days, it will be a one-time payment. But after that, the price will go to an annual price. Okay, so if you are interested in the one-time payment, it's a lifetime access. Feel free to check that out. It's just fingerstylepro.com. very easy to remember, I hope. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller so maybe you guys can see it a little bit nicer. Okay, yeah, and the level is just, there's one payment. So again, there's no sort of thing where like you pay a certain amount and you get less features. It's gonna be, you get everything. You're getting over 100 exercises right now I have, and many more coming. I'm working on a lot right now and filming and more as they come. I just thought, 100 is a pretty sweet number to start with, especially with this style. This is where I'm exposing everything. I'm not holding back here with any of my tips and secrets. And I'm not just doing finger picking as well. It's actually a lot of stuff involves using a flat pick, because I love to do all that stuff as well. So that's been a really cool journey where I can finally merge both fingerstyle with flat picking, with gypsy jazz, with metal music, with all these different styles, and flamenco as well, and Persian music, because that's I'm Persian by blood, so it would only be fair that I add some of those elements in there as well. So that's been pretty cool. Again, there are some of my students here who have taken parts of the course, so any of my students who are willing to share a few comments in the chat box for the other people, I'm sure they'd appreciate that. But no pressure, of course, no pressure. All right, here's a cool question. Do you noodle around and find a cool melody and develop a song around it, or is it more structured approach to writing? Now, this is something I get asked all the time, is like whether it comes, like songs come from improvisations, or if songs are born more from a structured approach. And I will say I've done both. I've done it both ways, and both ways work. To be honest, there really is no right or wrong way. I will give you my 2 cents as far as like what I think would be a most effective way of doing it. If you are really comfortable with the instrument, if you feel that you've got your chords down, your inversions, you feel comfortable about finger positions and stuff like that, and playing rhythmically, most importantly, then you should be able to get away with a structured approach. And what I mean by a structured approach is this. First of all, allocating time for it, like sitting down, mark it in your calendar that you're going to be writing something this day at this time. Okay, no exceptions. This is very important because when we're writing and being in a creative flow state, it takes a bit of time, as many of you know, to get into a flow state. Right? It doesn't just happen like that. You don't just pick up the guitar and all of a sudden it comes out. It never happens like that. I mean, it does, but rarely does it happen to that specific level. Now, the cool thing about it is that when you do have a structured approach, it helps you to hold yourself accountable, right? And if you said that you're going to be playing for 45 minutes to an hour, that one session that you do, sit down and actually come up with a rough idea. This is what I typically do. I think of a rough idea. I can even play something which I've been messing around with. So a lot of the times, the ideas might come from a rhythmic idea. Okay, very simple like this. Now from here, I can start thinking about just random chords. Maybe some Spanish sounding chords, right? And so forth. So now we've got a rough idea of a song, right? Now, of course, the next part is melody, right? Because melody is king. So we want to make sure that we emphasize that. Okay, that's a basic melody. This is how I would start. Now, from this structured approach, I would think, how can I expand from this? Let's make an A and a B section. So if this is the A section, now the B section. So already right there, it's musical enough that there's enough variation, right? One thing that I'm doing constantly is looking for musical variation, okay? That's really going to be the determining factor, I think, between you standing out as a player and, being a more amateur player. So if you've got this, the A section, let's go to a C section. A section, the B section, variation, C section. Maybe a D section. we found a way to loop it back. And now we do more variation. Maybe an E section. Variation, right, of the A section. So once you have a structure like this, you can just repeat. Back to the A. Let's go to the C section. F section. Outro. Okay, so you can see there was a very clear structure to a piece like that, and that was written very quickly. This song was written within a few days, just simply because of having that rough idea, that bird's eye view right from the get-go. And if you've got that bird's eye view of playing around with the variation, I think that'll make you really stand out and really create results quickly, right? Because as a player, as any player right now, I think it's so important to get results quickly, right? I mean, if you want to be prolific, you got to be able to go through this stuff fairly quickly. I think so anyway. I mean, of course, you don't want to rush it. You don't want to rush the writing process. But typically, if I'm doing a structured routine like this is how it would go, and I would get results fairly quickly. And this is something that I talk about in the masterclass as well, as far as elaborating ideas and how to come up with variations that are musical enough that still stand out. Because the most important thing when you're doing this sort of stuff is that you don't want the variations to seem forced. Right? So you want the variations to be similar enough to the main idea that gives the listener like that was a little bit different this time. It could be as simple as lowering the volume, raising the volume, and so forth, right? So those are some ideas. Hopefully that answers your question. That was a bit of a drawn out answer, but as you know, I typically like to do that. So let's look at the other questions you guys have. So here's one of my students, Scott, one of my really good students, an amazing player, and he says, Master Clan and of course are amazing, a wealth of information and very clearly explained, awesome for any level of player. Thanks, Scott. I did not pay him to say that. I will say that's coming from his own pocket. No. Cool, okay, so we got some really good questions. I'm going to try to just see if I can sum some of these up together. So here's a question from No Man. Do you recommend growing fingernails for fingerstyle? I know this you use a thumb pick, but now how long are you picking right-hand nails? So my nails are pretty long. I don't know if you can see that. You can, yes, good. So I just did them a couple days ago. So they're acrylic gel. They peek out just a little bit above the tip, as you can see there. And it's nice. I've been lately loving to not use a thumb pick for this sort of style, just because the bass notes are a little bit more tame, a little bit more warm. So I am actually finally, after years, growing out my thumbnail as well a little bit, just to be able to play without the thumb pick. But yeah, there's no right or wrong way, and there's no way that one is superior towards the other. They're both good. I've seen players do amazing things with both fingernails and without fingernails. So there really is no right or wrong way. It does take a little bit more maintenance, of course, having the nails, and I typically just like to have a little bit more clarity in those higher pitched notes, personally. That's great. So I'm getting some really good comments here, some really warm messages. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, here's a pretty cool question. Another one by Marcel. Throwback to your first song. How did you decide that now is the right time and you're a skilled enough player to write Morning in Adanac? Honestly, when I wrote Morning in Adanac, I did not think I was a skilled player. It wasn't even about thinking that I'm skilled or not, because it was such a journey within that I didn't really care about what it would look like to other people. So playing that song and writing it came out of a place of a darkness, actually, because it's when I moved to Canada. I was forced to move to Canada from the States, which was a very difficult journey for me and my family. And that song was born from that. That's why also the song has a little bit of an uplifting feel, because I used to always write songs that were happier to get me out of a depressed state. And that was a really powerful thing that music has done. It's going to sound cheesy, but art and music has really honestly saved my life. And I don't say that lightly. I know a lot of people can relate to this idea of music being a lifestyle, not just playing guitar for the sake of it, just because it makes you feel good, but it is a lifestyle, right? A lot of the way that I tackle life and life lessons are the same way that I tackle it on the guitar, and vice versa. So in the course, I even talk about this as well in FingerstylePro. It's about like cultivating your instrument, making the instrument be another language, okay? Make that foreign language become a fluent language. And that's what I'm all about here with the idea of making the guitar a part of your lifestyle. Because when you start thinking about music and guitar, you start thinking about how to apply this. How you tackle problems on the guitar are very similar with the way that you tackle problems in real life. It can be anyway, if you decide to take it to that level, which I prefer to do. And I teach all my students that too. I try to kind of get them to think like that if they're not already thinking like that. So it's been cool. It's been a really cool kind of awakening to be able to cultivate the guitar in that way. It's not just an instrument that I play. It's also a lifestyle, like I said. So yeah. All right, some good questions here. Thank you. Okay, I'm just looking through these questions. Sorry guys, there's so many questions. I want to make sure that I'm getting to them here. Okay, here's a really good question from Scott Schaefer. Apologies if you already answered this. I did not, I don't think. But how is this course different from JamPlay? Okay, so some of you guys know and have probably taken the JamPlay course that I did for them a couple years ago. So there's a fundamental big difference between that course that I did for them and this Fingerstyle course. First of all, this course is, I think, 4 times bigger. But again, that just because there's more content, of course, doesn't mean it's better than any of the other content. But because I know what I taught at that class at JamPlay, I wanted to make sure that I offer something different as well in this FingerstylePro class. So it's fundamentally different in the way that, well, first of all, you're getting song tutorials, a lot more song tutorials. You're getting a lot more in-depth material with the techniques that I use. And it's a lot more of the advanced ideas as well. I remember in the JamPlay course, it was more focused on intermediate level, more or less. So this course really is taking the beginner, intermediate, and advanced players all in one course, because a lot of the beginner stuff that I teach, even to advanced players, tends to change the way they play. I've had a lot of really great players that have gone through the course and seen the first couple of videos even, and just like nuggets of information that has changed their playing dramatically, just from the philosophy, from the outlook, thumb placement, finger economy, right? All these sorts of elements. Also, I do a lot of flat picking lessons in there as well in the FingerstylePro course, which doesn't have in the JamPlay course. Another big thing is a Facebook mastermind community. Okay, so what this basically means is that when you do sign up, you're going to be able to have access to the Facebook group, which is exclusive for the members. So you won't have access to this group unless you're a member. And inside of there, we're going to be posting lessons. We're going to be posting videos of us playing to be able to hold ourselves accountable. I'm a big believer of accountability for you to have explosive growth. And if you don't have a group of people around you, the most important thing is to have people around you that will hold you accountable, that will encourage you, inspire you. Is there something that you're having troubles with? We'll chime in, right? And I'll actually be there as well and give my own personal feedback to your playing as well, if that's what you're looking for. Okay, and of course, you're getting updates as well. Now, with the JamPlay course, you're not getting any updates. I've done it, it's in the past. There's no more content coming. So with this course, there's going to be updates. And the cool thing is that I'm taking requests from my students. So with my students, I'm sending them an email as well once they're about like a good 2 weeks in, just like, hey, is there anything that you're wanting that I didn't cover in this lesson, right? I want to see. Here's the thing: I'm trying to over deliver on this product to make sure that you guys get the most value for what you're getting, from when you access the course. And that's my most important concern right now, which is to make sure that you guys are getting the value that you're looking for in this, right? And I know it has to be different from the previous course that I did with JamPlay. Again, that's a cool site too, of course. But with this one, I think you're getting a lot more value long term, right? The whole accountability thing and things like this. Hopefully that answers your question, Scott. And that was a great question. Thank you. So let's see. So here's a question from Shyam. Are exercises for finger economy there too in the masterclass? And the answer is yes, absolutely. I'm a huge believer of finger economy, and I've got countless lessons on this topic. This is such an important thing that I think is overlooked so much that, I've seen teachers teach students in workshops and stuff that the student typically does something that's not optimized. It's not optimized, and the teacher probably knows it, but maybe just doesn't want to point it out. But for me, I love pointing out those things, because if you can become a better player by optimizing and using your energy efficiently, you will be able to play quickly, right? You'll be able to play much cleaner as well, right? So those are huge, important things. If you're trying to be a professional guitar player or to that level, you got to be able to know these little things that maybe someone has never brought up. So I'm trying to bring awareness to any problems that you might have. And I also want to be the first person to solve that problem, because I see this question being asked all the time about finger economy. How do you maximize your finger strength? How do you maximize your stretch? How do you maximize your speed? Right, and things like this. So all these things I do cover in the course. So that's a really good question there. All right, so let's see. Cool, so getting some really nice comments again. Thank you guys so much. Okay, here's a pretty cool one. Let me just double check it. So from Lala99, so you don't do many cover tunes. I think Amazing Grace is it. Is that because you have so many ideas that you don't need to? What was your approach to arranging Amazing Grace? Choosing tuning, scale, and so forth. Great question. I love it. I only do 2 covers, I think, Amazing Grace, and then also, what's the other one? Dire Dire Docks from Mario. Amazing Grace is one of those songs it's such a easy song to have stuck in your head. And I was so gravitated to it. Then when I got my pedal, the Strymon pedal, which you're hearing the sustain right now, I was noodling around with it one day, and it just like came like this, It was just like, I just felt like I was in a church or something, But when I'm arranging a song like this, I typically like to arrange songs in a really ballad sort of way, because I resonate so much more with a more melodic approach like that, And then I think with Amazing Grace, it was so good because when I started using the pedal with the sustain, it just made everything so much more powerful. I haven't played that song in a while, but yeah, and I love using pedals like this to my advantage because when you start using effects like this, you start to play with a lot more space, you know, and it's the silence, right? I forgot who said that. It's the silence between the notes that is the music, right? So it's not even the notes if you think about it. It's that time for you to take a musical breath that the music starts to sink in. So if let me actually play this one. So using your phrasing to your advantage will allow the listener to just, whoa, like what just happened here? A little Lydian there. So let me talk about what I'm doing here, because something I get asked a lot is about playing modally. It's about how do you transition into different modes seamlessly. First of all, I've got the loop just on the E chord, where there's F sharp, I guess, which I've got the capo on. But just so you can see, I'm just doing the 1, the 5, and the 1. So I'm not adding the third, the major third, minor third. I'm leaving that out so I can play around with that and fool you guys as a listener, because maybe you're expecting that major third sometimes. But when I go to the minor third, it's like, ooh, what was that, you know? So So playing around minor and major modes is really cool. So what I'm using right now is I'm using a term called parallel modes. And what this basically means, if we have the same root note as the E, we're always going to pick the E as the 1. Now, I have the choice to play any of the modes that I want over the E, as long as I start with the E. So if I play major, okay, so that's basically E major. What happens if I do like E Phrygian dominant? All right, it's very dark, it's very Middle Eastern, very mystic, very kind of mysterious and things like this, right? But how we can use this to our advantage is we can go up one way, for example, major, and come back down another. So if I were to do that, let me just show you. That's major. What happens if I now decide to go all the way back up, for example? Minor. Okay? It's so powerful. When you start to write your own pieces like this, with just a basic loop like this, it makes it really nice, I think, to just play around with it. And using delay to your advantage, because you'll just want to hear the decay at the very end. And then resolve it. We can even throw in these little Persian ornaments. There's a few lessons in the course where I talk about Persian phrasing, right? Which are these. All right, it almost sounds like it's kind of Celtic. You're gonna almost have this like Celtic feel. Because in Celtic music, you use a lot of little ornaments, embellishments, also known as ornaments, right? Yeah, Scott's saying he loves the dissonant notes. And this is why the dissonant notes work so well. Because when you hear everything that's consonants, right? You're hearing everything that sounds good. You need to throw in something that sounds a little bit off to get the listener to be like, whoa, what just happened there? So using dissonance is a huge part, which I love to do. That's all consonants. What happens if I go to a dissonant note? Tension. There's so much tension in this note because you want to hear it resolve to that note, right? Which is the 5. So this is such a cool thing to play around with. I use this a lot in my own playing, and it's really fun. All right, hopefully that answers the question. There's a question about the pedal board, and I do have a pedal board rundown. Yeah, so there's a question, will there be any gear rundown? I'm really interested in learning more about the pedals you're using. Yeah, so I'm doing a full rundown of my guitar, strings, capo, everything. I'm everything that I use, I have in the masterclass as far as demystifying things, how to use these elements together. It's been a really cool journey to kind of do this because I always get asked all the time, about like these sorts of elements and like how you can use this to better express yourself, outside of just playing everything solo. Playing solo is great, don't get me wrong, but I do like to kind of explore ideas like this as well, Okay, here's a great question from Isaac. So, do you have any advice for avoiding getting stuck in familiar finger picking patterns or chord shapes when trying to write a piece? Oh, man, we've all been there. We've all been there. I'm still there sometimes too, and it's something that really helps here's what I do. Here's one of the best things that I've done, I think, that I also teach as well, which is if you're able to do something that's called a subdivision, okay? And let me just explain what that is, and then I'll show you an example of how you would apply that. A subdivision is when we change the groupings of the notes inside of the beat, okay? So if I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? All right, 4 notes. And typically, a lot of players will pick a pecking pattern that they're really comfortable with. Say they're doing, let's see, we're gonna keep E here. Let me just turn this off here so we can see. Right, this is one very common Travis picking. How do we branch out of this? Here's one way to do this, is to double the notes inside of the beat. So if we're going like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and go back and forth between the two. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? Then you do double and back to the original. Okay, this way the beat is still in the same place. Right, the head is still moving in the same position. Okay, so when you start doing this with 8th notes, followed by simply going to 16th notes, you got a very nice thing. What happens if you go triplets? And back to the original, 4, 4. Triplets. Let me count it for you so you got an idea. So 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 triplet, 2 triplet. Okay, this is a really good way to branch out of your comfort level as far as playing subdivisions inside of the group. So if I do a picking pattern like this, okay, so I'm just doing this. This is all pretty straightforward, like 16th. So what I'm doing is I'm adding some of the notes in and I'm taking some of them out. Okay, so when you start doing this and you make it rhythmic, by rhythm I just mean it's a pattern. If you want to make something rhythmic, just follow the pattern. Make the pattern flowy. So make it the same thing as you loop the bar. So if you're doing this, okay, this is a really common pattern. If I start doing this and start doubling, back to the original. So 8th notes, 16th. Okay, while the beat is still going, so you're still hearing this. Right? This is in the exact same spot every single time. And already there you've got enough variation. Right? I would really highly suggest that you practice this with no chords at all first. Then do triplets. There's a nice little triplet there. Now eventually, the next level to branch out of this is to start using the index finger. Use this to your advantage, okay? This guy, I teach this all the time, which is this guy needs to have a brain of its own, okay? I know it's hard enough for each individual finger here to have a mind of its own, but if you can train this guy to behave and listen to you, watch the things you can do with this guy. That's all this is doing, right? With that same pattern. Start opening up the sound by releasing your palm mute, bringing it back in. Okay, I'm pretty sure I have this pattern in the program in FingerstylePro. I'm pretty sure I have that specific picking groove in there. So yeah, so it's a lot of ideas there that you can kind of explore as long as you're willing to have that metronome on, okay? Don't think you're ever too good for the metronome. I still use the metronome all the time. It's part of my regular practice. If not metronome, do what I'm doing here, which is loop pedal, okay? If you want to make it musical, do the loop pedal because it's gonna, you're actually gonna be learning a lot more, which is how to play rhythmically in time with the loop pedal first, and then being able to branch out, right? Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. Good, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the sound. I'm getting some... Okay, here we go. So one from KC, you sounds amazing. Oh, thanks. What is the setup at the moment? Is it a mix of mic and line in? A rundown of the live setup would be invaluable. I'll give you a quick rundown of this live setup. There's a microphone right here, which you can't see. It's a small diaphragm condenser microphone. It's basically pointed right at my throat. And that's mostly for the speaking, but it is picking up the acoustic sound as well. What I have the Cole Clark going into my pedal board, going into my interface. That's, again, you guys can't see all this because the camera is angled in a way that you guys can't see this. But it is going into my interface into the computer, and I'm mixing it in a program called Total Mix. It's a software that comes with this specific interface, which is amazing. I'm using the Fireface UFX. Really good, interface that I use. It's a very high end. It's a lot of classical players use it. It's a very transparent, clean sound, and that's it. So again, inside of Total Mix, I can add compression, EQ, dynamics. I can add all that. That's all. I've got my preset. I'll probably do a video about this, a rundown of how I get this sound. All right, and it does sound pretty huge because you are getting two signals. You're getting the microphone, which is about the same level as this guitar as well. All right, so Total Mix sounds like a breakfast cereal. It does sound like that. Yeah, that's a good point. Awesome. All right. So I want to play another one. I've been coming up with a lot of short little pieces. That was a new song that's been in the works for a few months. A lot of these songs were written during this time, during COVID. So some of them are more upbeat, you know, but some of them are definitely more in this realm of like melody. And I've been working, again, as I told you guys earlier, I'm kind of letting go of that thumb pick a little bit and working more with just the flesh, especially for these ballads type songs. And I've got a few of these which I want to share with you guys. There's another one that I want to play, which is a little bit more upbeat, but another piece, another new one that I wrote in the summertime. And summer is not yet here, but it's definitely a summery-esque type of a song. Let's see, what else can I play? I'm trying to think of another new song that I just finished. Oh yeah, this one. Okay, I'm gonna play this one. See if I can. Yeah, here we go. That one is called Farewell, and it is not yet released. All these, I don't think I've played anything that's been released yet, which is cool because I've just been working on so many ideas. So what better way to practice than to practice here with you guys on the spot. So I want to do another loop before I sign off for the evening, for the day. But thank you guys all for sticking around. Really appreciate it. Let me see what loop. Let's do this one. guys. It's been a pleasure. Really nice to play for you all here today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. Thanks for being here for the big announcement, which is the Fingerstyle Pro online course. If you guys do want to check it out, make sure to check that link down in the description and use the discount code there that's available at the top right of the screen. And yeah, check it out. It all starts with a free masterclass. You don't even have to pay anything. It's all free right off the bat, 45 minutes. I'd love to hear what you guys think of it. And that's the end for today. But now that the course is done, I will definitely be doing more of these. So thank you guys for the warm wishes. The problem with me playing this loop is I will never stop. So someone needs to turn the electricity off here. Otherwise it's very hard to leave. It gets to the point where I just do crazy stuff over top, which doesn't make any sense. So I better log off here before this happens. So thank you guys so much. Electricity, thankfully, is still on here, so I'm staying warm, feeling good. All right, guys, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.